Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Ken Cuccinelli. This morning, Ken, good to have you on the show. How are you?
Yeah, good to be with you again. Good memory.
Well, yeah, it was a good time down there, and I know you've been to a few of those over the years, and I've been to all of them, so it's been kind of crazy. But anyway, speaking of crazy times, election of 2020, and a lot of people are wondering about election security. You know, we hear so much, especially in the time of COVID-19, about, you know, the mail-in ballots and how they're being used and how they're being processed and all of that. And then, of course, election security coming up with in-person balloting on Election Day. What's being done right now? What's your take on the whole thing?
So there's two levels of it. There's the federal and the state level, and the Constitution assigns the responsibility for executing elections with the states. Mm-hmm. And every state does it differently, and that's actually an interesting element of our resiliency, of our security, because let's say you wanted to cheat. If you want to figure out how to cheat in state one, well, then you figured out how to cheat in one state.
Right.
Because they're all different. That's just one form of the resiliency we have. At the federal level, our responsibility is one, to create partnerships with the states to communicate to them the threats that we're able to see through our intelligence, mostly foreign and criminal actors. And we have had better communication with your state and every other state than ever before. You look at last week, we had this incident with the Iranians where they were trying to agitate people. No foreign actor has ever touched the machinery where votes are cast or counted. It never affected a single vote, and we're confident that we're still in that position. So the only thing you have to worry about from these folks is the influence campaign, the attempt to agitate, to turn one American against another. And we need to not jump at their bait. We need to be patient.
Yeah. We
need to know how to vote where we are. And we call it the 3 Ps: prepare, participate, and patience. It is going to be slower counting votes this year. Pennsylvania is going to be one of the states that's going to be slower.
Right.
And it's obviously an important state in every election. So we probably won't know the winner on election night, almost certainly won't know the winner on election night, and thus we need to be patient. So it doesn't mean there's a problem. It means that in the age of COVID, with less election workers because of COVID and more paper ballots because of how people are voting, it's more labor intensive with more people to do the labor. Less people to do the labor, so it's going to take longer.
You know, Mr. Secretary, and we're talking with Ken Cuccinelli this morning, the acting Homeland Secretary. We have, it seems like whoever loses screams about the Russians or the Iranians or someone's interfering with our election. And you mentioned no one's ever put their hands on our ballot mechanisms that we have in the various states. And yet at the same time, we have a lot of people saying, well, you know, we're trying to keep people from voting because we have certain rules. And if people have to stand in line for a while, we're keeping people from voting. How do you react to that as a guy that's in charge of at least part of this, keeping our vote kind of sacred here in this country?
Well, I certainly take that very seriously, as does the president. I mean, the president's basic mantra is Americans should decide American elections, right? Simple. Mm-hmm. And it guides us. And for the 3.5 years of President Trump's administration, he has provided us the resources to dramatically improve our ability to do exactly that, and that's help states keep ballots secure, and frankly, to push back on and punish foreign actors who we identify. We've imposed sanctions. I mentioned Iran last week. We put more sanctions on Iran. You saw some this summer related to Russia. We've had our eye on China the whole time. So it's a very active space. We have censors in all 50 states. That's voluntary on their part. That's 3 times as many as 2016. We also have people who have security clearances in every state, including yours, and that's regardless of party, so that when we get intelligence that is related to state acts, we have people who have those clearances we can talk to, so we can honestly say what we know, you know, and that allows states to be better prepared and respond to any threats that arise. So I'm really very happy with where we are. There's always the concerns about what I'll call localized fraud, which you can try to execute with ballots and other things. And you've read about stories, including in Pennsylvania, of localized problems. But so far they've been localized. And, nobody expects a perfect election, but we're going to do everything we can with our state partners to definitely bird dog the bad guys and to spot them as they arise, to share that info with the states so they can act to protect your vote. And so far that's been very effective.
It's interesting.
The disinformation campaign is a little more difficult.
Right. We look at our spam filter sometimes, and we see a lot of bad people knocking at our doors that are kept at bay. How close are the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, or any other state actors at getting through our doors to in any way disrupt our elections? Your thoughts on that?
So far the only impact they have been able to ever have is this kind of agitation. Can they get some voter information? Yes, they can. I mean, you and I can get voter information.
Absolutely.
Without much internet savvy. But they then use it, like the Iranians did, to send specific emails to specific people, and it looks like they have a lot more capability than they do, and that's what they want to portray. And they want to give the impression that they can break into the system and affect the votes. And even on election night, you could see something like somebody hack your local election website. That doesn't mean they're getting at the vote counting. It just means they're getting at a little website that shows you how much they've counted. And all those counts are unofficial. And none of them are related to the counting itself. So CISA is the agency within the Department of Homeland Security, CISA, that is our point folks on election security. And at CISA.gov/rumor control, there's a list of hypotheticals of things that bad actors might do and have already tried to turn us against one another and to raise anxiety and to undermine Americans' confidence in our entire democracy. And that is their goal. Their goal isn't just the election. Their goal uses the election to try to undermine our confidence in democracy itself, in the case of Iran and Russia. And in China's case, they want a compliant America that just buys their stuff and doesn't.
In other words, just raising the questions and the specter of distrust is mission accomplished if they're able to do that. Mr. Secretary, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning. Thank you so much for some of your insights. I think it helped people out in terms of thinking about this election security. I know you'll be busy at work here in the next bunch of days, as you always are, but particularly with the election coming up. Thank you for all you're doing. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a great day.
Take care. Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Ken Cuccinelli here this morning on election security on WSBA.